So Amit decided on this topic, and he said, "Oh, maybe have a look at what Acharya does. He's been speaking on. He's got a series on Bhakti Yoga, 5 hours long. Okay, we're not going to be here till midnight. This is just going to be a very simple, broad talk on Bhakti Yoga because I've got 15 minutes or 20 minutes with questions. So I'm just going to explain it in a very simple way. One, you have to understand who you are before you can understand Bhakti Yoga. As we were saying before in the Guranga breathing meditation, we're actually not our physical bodies, we're not our minds, we are the eternal spiritual being within. We are made of a completely different energy. There's two distinct energies happening here. One is material and you are spiritual. And you're only temporarily residing within this body. At the end of this life, you'll move on. So that is a really something you really need to get a little bit of a grasp on before you can understand the yoga systems. Because here in the West, most of the people in the world think that they're the body. You know, if you ask someone, who are you? You know, it's all the labels that go on this body. But you are not your body. You are the eternal spark within. So Bhakti Yoga actually is considered to be the culmination of all yoga processes. All yoga culminates in Bhakti. And Bhakti is simply the spontaneous loving service of the soul with the Supreme Soul. That's what Bhakti Yoga ultimately means. Bhakti Yoga is considered to be the yoga of devotion. So what we're practicing here tonight with the kirtan is called Sadhana Bhakti. And Sadhana Bhakti is applying a process in your life in order to uncover your true nature. Gradually over time, practicing the Sadhana Bhakti or Bhakti Yoga in practice, it's called Sadhana Bhakti. So we practice these different processes. We practice our meditation on a regular basis, our japa, like on beads. If you haven't learnt that, maybe come tomorrow night. We've got a meditation workshop on tomorrow night. Give you the ins and outs of meditation, how it works and things. But by applying these different things in our life, the chanting, the japa meditation, there's all sorts of different ways you can apply this Sadhana Bhakti into your life. And what Sadhana Bhakti does, it's a purifying experience. So you are the eternal spirit soul. When you've come into this material dimension and taken on this material body and mind, you've become covered by material contamination, by desires and emotions and all those horrible things, anger, envy, greed, that's all, and that's not you. That's a part of this material contamination that's covering you. So these processes this process of Sadhana Bhakti actually starts to cleanse away that material contamination. And once that's been completely cleansed away, what is left is you and your loving, eternal relationship with the Supreme in the mood of love and devotion. That is actually who you are. You can believe it or not, but that is actually who you are. And by gradually uncovering this material contamination, you start to live according to your true nature. And when you're living according to your true nature, that is when you actually start to become happy. We think in this world that happiness comes from the senses. Most people are looking for happiness through the senses, like chocolate, a lot worse than that. Chocolate's pretty mild. But the tongue, we're looking for something that's going to satisfy us. We're all foodies these days. Everybody loves their food. They're trying to get, that happiness within that we're actually looking for through eating. And when you think of it, it's not very practical because food is also material and it's going to give your body some nourishment. It's going to give a little bit of a tongue flash. but it's not going to satisfy you because you're a completely different energy. So material can't satisfy the spiritual. Just can't. So the more we try to satisfy the senses, we sort of start to get a bit anxious, like, how come I'm not happy? I did this myself. I tried really hard to be happy, stimulating the senses. I just went to the nth degree. I used to drink heaps, party heaps. I never really got into drugs, which was fortunate for me, but I did drink a lot. And just whatever I thought would make me happy, I would go for it. I had my own business, so I had plenty of money, I could do it, and nothing satisfied me. I was like, how come? The more I do it, the happier I should become. But the more I did it, the more depressed I became. So I started going, what is wrong here? Obviously, I'm looking in the wrong direction. And I was at my lowest when I came to meditation. I just went, I've got to change my direction. I realised that I had to take a U-turn somewhere quick before I became a total alcoholic. So I did a U-turn. I actually did. I took up this process of meditation, and gradually over time it's uncovering my true nature, and I'm getting happier and happier and happier. We always say chant and be happy, and it's true. The more you practice this process in your life and you uncover the true you, and you start to live according to the true you, the pure soul, then the happier your life becomes, the more peaceful your life becomes, the more harmonious your life becomes. So Sadhana Bhakti is a wonderful process that you can apply in your lives, and over time it will gradually purify you so that instead of being Bhakti Yoga in process, it actually starts to become spontaneous loving service to God. So the more that uncovers you, the more you'll find that you want to live a life of service. And when we talk about service, you often think of the sort of slavery or servants. They're never happy in their job because they're serving and they get paid for it, and they don't like having to work for the rich boss, and they get them to do dirty jobs. And we tend to have this idea of service, but serving God is a completely different thing. It's we're doing it out of love. And when you love somebody, you want to serve them. Isn't that natural? Isn't it natural, Kath? Where are you? Is she here? She's got the baby. It's natural. She loves serving that little baby, even though it's keeping her awake all night, and it's like all sorts of things happening to your body. It causes chaos with your body when you have a baby, and you don't hold it against the baby. You actually enjoy serving that baby. You don't mind getting up in the middle of the night when the baby screams for food. And you don't mind changing the dirty nappies. It's just you like to serve that little person, because it's natural for us to want to serve. We actually enjoy serving others. If you go to those soup kitchens, they're full of volunteers. Why are those people doing that? They don't do it because they hate doing it. They just force themselves to do it. They actually volunteer because they want to do it. They want to help others, and they get pleasure from serving others and helping others. So servitude is actually a natural part of us. My mum, I remember when my dad died and we all moved out of home, and poor mum she had 4 kids and she was serving us all her life, that's all she knew from when she was young. And then she said to me one day, I need to get a dog because I don't have anybody to serve anymore. Well, she didn't say serve. I don't have anybody to look after anymore. The same thing, yeah. So she went and got a little dog because she wanted to look after somebody. She got pleasure from looking after that little dog, that little person inside the dog body. That person's the same as us, just with a different body. So service is actually natural for us, If people are depressed, they're often told, well, go out and take your mind off yourself and go and serve somebody, do some volunteer work. And it's, people start to feel a lot more pleasure and a lot more purposefulness in life, purpose in life by just taking those little steps. And this is all, a part of our true nature. So the more that becomes uncovered, the more we realise we're not just doing it for the pleasure, we're actually doing it for a higher cause. We're doing it because we're all brothers and sisters with the same Father. Spiritually, we're brothers and sisters. So we all have the same Father. And we're all related spiritually. So obviously by serving God's other children, we're going to get happiness from that. It's just a natural thing. So Sadhana Bhakti, just applying a regular practice in your life, will start to uncover that natural love you have for God. And it is wonderful. Even if you just take a few baby steps, you start to feel, wow, my life is really changing for the better. I'm feeling happier inside because I'm feeling that actual spiritual happiness. It's not just the fleeting temporariness of the senses. Once the chocolate's gone, it's gone. The pleasure's gone. And usually if you eat too much, you feel sick, so it does the opposite. If it was going to make you happy, the more of you have it, the happier you should become. But the more chocolate you eat, the unhappier you become, and then you get fat and you've got to go to Weight Watchers. And it causes all sorts of problems in your life. We've all probably been there, except for this guy at the front here. He looks like he's probably eating, you can eat as much as you like and you never have to worry. But most of us, we suffer the repercussions. And even if you are a skinny person and you can eat a lot of chocolate, you end up with diabetes and things, There's always these repercussions. And it doesn't make you happy no matter how much you have it. If we, locked you in a room and fed you chocolate all day, every day for the next month, how would you feel? I don't think you'd feel too happy. But, so the spiritual happiness is a really deep, lasting happiness. It doesn't go away. Even if you're having difficulties in life, that happiness is still there within. And in this nature of service becomes more and more prevalent in your life, that you want to help others, and not as if you're doing it because you want the pleasure, but the pleasure comes from that. Happiness actually comes from serving and living a life of service and knowing that you're doing it for a higher purpose. And the more you do it, the happier you become. And the more loving that relationship becomes with God, because naturally you love God. It's actually a part of your eternal nature, you the pure soul. So the more that is uncovered, the more you're living according to your true nature, and the more that happiness and peacefulness will start to come into your life. So keep practicing meditation. It's a really important thing. Even if we don't feel like doing it, do it. And you'll get, the benefits are definitely there. I can vouch for it. I've been doing it 26 years now, and it's been an amazing journey. There's ups and downs, there's times I feel really connected and other times I feel, but I still do it. And over time, my life has become so fulfilling now that, I just can't imagine another life. I wouldn't definitely want to go back to how I used to live my life before I added this wonderful Bhakti yoga to my life. So that's a very, very short talk on Bhakti yoga. So if we practice Sadhana Bhakti, where we practice our meditation and apply this process in our life, it will gradually evolve into Bhakti yoga. And that is the highest form of yoga, this loving, eternal, reciprocal relationship with God, us the Atma with the Supreme Atma. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we need to practice it, as I said, even though we don't feel like doing it. I don't always feel like it, especially if it's, it's a busy day and I've got to get an early start in. I just make sure I do it at some stage in the day. And I do it every single day, and I have for 26 years. And it has become a part of my life. The more you apply it, you find the more it becomes natural to you. And that it's, I actually look forward to getting up in the morning now and doing my japa. It's my time, my me time, really important me time. We were talking about that last week, I think. People want me time, but we need to have some spiritual me time as well. So is that easy to understand?
That's great.
Did anybody have any questions? Okay, we'll get back into it. Do some more cleansing. Oh, someone up the back?
No, there's a question over there.
Where? Oh, Sham. farmer. I ignored him, that's why. Because he's always paying me off. I don't know what he's going to say.
I was just wondering where that whole series of talks by.
Oh yeah, it's on Acharya. I just googled Bhakti Yoga Acharyadas and it comes up. There's 5, and you know he takes you on a whole journey through the Bhakti Yoga system, and it's amazing. It starts off. He even suggests you look up more than the 5 hours worth. There's some a series on your true nature, finding the true self. So understanding your essence, your position and your function. And then it moves on then to the different paths, spiritual paths you can take and where Bhakti fits into that. There's a talk on Bhakti, what it is and what it is not, because there's a lot of pseudo-Bhakti around it. It's like Bhakti's like a bit of a buzzword now. It's very detailed, and by the time you'd watch those couple of series, you'd have a very good understanding of what Bhakti is. So just Google Acharya Das Bhakti Yoga, and you can also find it on his YouTube channel, Acharya Das. And he's from New Zealand, and he regularly uploads his talks at least once a week. And he's been here speaking too. He spoke on Friday and Saturday night here as well. Yeah. Yes?
How do you spell it?
How do you spell it? Bhakti. 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 I can write it out. If anybody wants the Charyadas's Facebook, I can help you get that on your phone, and you can say that I helped someone before, yeah. But he's got a website, a YouTube channel, and he's also got the Facebook. The Facebook's good because it keeps you updated and he sends you to the different links. But yeah, yes.
You mentioned in your great talk about happiness doesn't come through the senses. And, at dawn, I walk every morning from my house to the river, and I get great pleasure through my senses watching the sunrise and seeing the light and the heat from the sun.
Yeah.
And is the natural world considered part of the material world?
Well, the natural world, we can experience God's beauty, through nature. We all get pleasure being in nature, don't we? But it's still not going to be, it's not awakening that inner spiritual happiness. So I'm not saying that we don't get some pleasure from the material world. I mean, we all find a sunset beautiful, and it makes you feel calm and relaxed and, pleasure. But it's not that deep spiritual happiness that we're actually wanting. It comes and goes. Like once the sunset's gone, it's gone. Whereas the spiritual happiness actually stays there. It doesn't go. So it's a constant in your life. And I know I use Chaitanya Dasa as an example quite often, because he's been racked with cancer. He's racked with cancer, and he's had it for like about 20 years now. And he's been through absolute and utter hell with his body, the stuff he's had to take and to try and fight this cancer. And he said he's never been so happy, and his body's getting worse and worse. But he said he's never been so happy. So why is that? Obviously he's not getting the happiness from his body. He doesn't even enjoy eating. He's got to be careful what he eats. He can't eat most things. He just chants. And and he wanted to stay longer so he could help others with their cancer journeys, and teach them that they're not the body and they don't have to fear death, that there's more to it than just born, you live, you die. So when you think about it, there's obviously a happiness within, and it's a happiness that keeps evolving. But yeah, we're not saying there's no pleasure here. There is pleasure, and we get different people get pleasure from different things. So somebody who's enjoying a beautiful sunset in nature is more in the mode of goodness, sattva guna, which is people who are more in the mode of goodness have less of a covering around them. So you have less of a covering around your heart, you the soul. So it's less. And those people are more influenced by the mode of goodness. So yeah, they love a sunset. They love to be just on their own out in the forest somewhere, just with no one. That's very mode of goodness. And most of the people that would come along here are very much more mode of goodness, influenced by mode of goodness. Yeah, so there is pleasure here, but it's just not going to be that lasting happiness that just doesn't go. Even if your body's dying and falling apart, you're still happy because your happiness doesn't rely on this body. You're happy without this body. You are happier without this body. Actually, I've got a girlfriend and she's sort of on the last part of her cancer trip, and she said she had an out-of-body experience not long ago, and she said, it was just such a relief to be out of the body. She said it was an amazing experience. And, there's no question in her mind that she's not the body because she left her body and she existed without her body. But she said it was such a relief. These bodies are so cumbersome. They really are. We're so used to having these bodies on that we don't know anything else. But, have an out-of-body experience and it's like, total relief. Not that I'm saying you need an out-of-body experience. Any other questions? Harry Bolomet. Alright, well let's do a little bit more chanting. And let's find that nice service from within.